Right, I'm just starting the live stream.
Just comb my beard. We're still 10 minutes away from starting, so if you're here early, you can settle in, relax, it's all good. You don't have to be at a computer, you can be walking, you can be outside. It's still 10 minutes away from starting, so if you're here early, you can settle in, relax, it's all good. You don't have to be at a computer, you can be walking. Jane, I've muted you because you seem I can hear the live stream from you, which has a delay of a few seconds, so I've had to mute you. Okay, Jane? So if you mute the live stream where it's coming out, and then unmute. Okay, Jane, you got it? If not, I can intro myself, don't worry. I've had to retire to my bedroom, which is kind of dark. The reason being, there's a loud noise in Moscow outside, so I found a quiet room. Some plants up, I think it'll make it work. How are you doing, Marlene? You want to say hello?
Good morning. It's 3:30 here.
Oh my God, that's late. Did you really want to see this one live? Was like you're like hardcore, or you just you late owl?
No, I'm an early morning person, but this is almost too early.
Really very early for you, so well done. Is the subject particularly of interest?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah, I don't have that many subjects. There's about 10 that I really want to see. So we'll see.
We've gone really specialist this time. We're kind of like, different people interested in different things in just half an hour, so
Exactly.
manageable. Welcome.
Yeah, it is.
Any questions, guys, before we begin? As you're early, we're streaming, but we're not going to be, this won't be in the recording. Feel free to unmute or put them in the chat for now. I just saw a very good one with David Trevelyan. It was really very good. He is the shizzle. Hey, Steve. How's it going, Steve? Jodie's here. Jodie's my favorite. Don't be jealous. Jodie, am I going to have to get a new favorite soon, do you think? Like, you've been my favorite for like a year now. Like, no? We're going to stay there? Okay, cool. Jodie, am I going to have to get a new favorite soon, do you think? Like, no, Jane, you've got me on there again. Okay, Jane. So see if you can sort that out. Talk to Daniela. I'm sure she knows how to do it. And if not, then maybe Steve will intro.
What's going on? Sorry.
When Jane unmutes, she can hear the live stream on her computer.
Oh, she can just pause the live stream. She just goes to the window in the browser, then she just pauses the live stream.
Tech support. Thank you. It's not worth having a fight or flight response over, is it? Not yet.
You guys are here early.
Early birds. A lot of people turning up, huh?
It's nice. And look, we've got Marlene in Canada.
Yeah, she's up super early. Jodie's here. Cecilia, am I saying your name right? Cecilia. It is Cecilia. She gets discriminated against as a redhead. So, she has trauma around that. There's no word for that. There's no word for it. Blonde brunette privilege. It's quite a thing in the UK. So joking aside, it's quite a thing. From Ireland, country of my people, probably be talking a bit about the intergenerational trauma, so we will, Cecilia. A little bit about why my grandmother was force feeding me fucking potatoes forever. So, it's a big conversation, actually, intergenerational stuff. My wife's Ukrainian and my family are Irish immigrants, so we talk a lot about that at home. Stefan, one of my friends from Brighton. Hello, sir. Nice to see you. Do you want to say hello?
Hi, everyone.
Greetings from Moscow, Stefan. We're not officially starting yet, so we're just chatting and saying hi.
Okay.
Are you all right?
Yeah, how's Moscow?
Urban, it's big, it's busy. I'm working with the gay community, I'm working with coaches, just doing my thing,
Good.
Erika Erika's here, which is good because she's teaching. Anyone else wants to say hello? Just, it's kind of nice to see people, a few friendly faces or unfriendly faces. Erika, should you have a conflict? Try it now.
God, that sounds terrible. Can we not? Can't bear conflict.
We're gonna have a big fight.
Oh God.
I'm gonna love it, and you're gonna be conflict averse, and that's gonna be the joke. So,
and also the truth.
and also reality, and actually reality. Jane, have you sorted out that tech issue?
Yes.
Sinead Finnegan is coming in. I'm guessing she's from Ireland. I could be wrong. What do you reckon, Cecilia? Welcome, Sinead Finnegan. Could be from Boston or somewhere, to be fair. Who else is here? Donald Trump is here. Cheryl is here. Claire is here. People of all political persuasions are welcome. And I mean that, actually. I mean that. So Elena, Natasha, hello, welcome. Claire, Helen, if you want to put your camera on, say hello. Why have you come to this one? Erika, why are we doing this one?
Because you asked me and I couldn't say no.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Of course not. Let me see which compliment's going to work. You look very nice today. Oh, you look very kind and supportive today.
Thank you.
Ah, did that one land better? Okay, I'm testing the water. So I like it's good luck. It's good luck. We've both gone pink, haven't we?
We have both gone pink. Yeah.
What are you wearing for the conflict session? No, you can't wear pink if I'm wearing pink.
Pink is very soothing, I'm sure.
Yeah. You've gone for a fluffy pink. I've gone for a kind of elegant pink.
Edgy pink.
Steve, where's your pink? Okay. Let's get Steve, go get changed. Come on. Jane got engaged. Congratulations, Jane.
Oh yeah, congratulations.
She's like this, everything. Oh, would you like to have this coffee cup? Sue Smith's got a cat as her icon, so she wins. I'm sorry, no one else wins.
Okay.
Hey Sue, nice to see you again. I've seen you before, I think, yeah? A couple of times, I remember the name. Is an Aikido instructor in SOAS University with your name. So I thought you were the first time. Anyone else want to say hello? Someone's called connecting to audio because their parents didn't like them. So sad. I think we should get everyone to say whether they're and their names to rename whether they're conflict positive or conflict negative. So if you love a fight, put some plus signs by your name, and if you hate a fight, put some minus signs. And I know someone's going to have both. That's fine too. And look, has everyone found the reactions? If I don't get at least some reactions like this during the session, I'm going to be very upset. So I want to be validated with fun signs like that the entire time. Erika, this is what I think of you. Yeah. And this is a party. Trauma party. Okay, welcome. It's too early for Portland to be awake. We can have a good time. It's going to be okay. Been in Moscow, Erika, so my standards may have shifted.
In terms of?
So many things, some of which we won't talk about.
In terms of aggression just being normal.
Yeah, for one, just people being like, what do you want? I'd like some manners, please.
Actually, I would quite like, if you wouldn't mind, to maybe pass me.
Wouldn't mind, please. Thank you, sorry. If I told you the fact that my wife has apologized to me 4 times.
Oh, in your life.
In our entire life. I've been counting, it's 4. So
Oh.
She was like, why would I apologize if I was not wrong? I'm like, because we're English. And that's she's like, I am not English. I will not apologize. It's classic sort of too nice stuff, isn't it, Erika? You could steal that example for your workshops.
Yeah, I have a Polish friend who says, God, you English, like when you want something, you just keep adding words to the sentence.
If you don't
Like,
mind,
if you really want something, you just keep until their sentence gets impossibly long.
important question. What do I stir my coffee with? An earbud or a toothbrush?
The handle of your toothbrush.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. This is why I keep you around, Erika. You know, like I've been just so much coffee trauma without you.
Okay.
Okay. Now for something sensible.
Fiddling with the stuff. So, welcome everyone. This session of how trauma controls your fight-flight response. And
2 minutes early. 2 minutes early, Jane.
1 minute early.
no, I will wait. I'm getting there 2
I think we
minutes.
should have a fight about this.
Oh, is that just me trying out?
That was a test. That was a test run.
It was just for you, Mark.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Are you keeping me in line today, or is Erika?
Me or Erika?
I think it needs to be a tag team, to be honest.
Yeah.
And make sure you press record as well, Jane, when you start.
Looks like we've got some conflict avoidant people here, like Erika, who put a little minus by their name to indicate that if you've just come in. Be nice to see some people. You can be outside, you can be walking. I don't mind. So just, you don't have to be sat at a computer if you've been doing too much of that lately. I don't mind if you're eating. I had my lunch during David's session. What do we mind? Nakedness is probably not good. Probably not good. Someone will get upset. Oh. I don't like when people email though, Erika, do you? That's the one thing. You can see them like working.
Off-putting.
Yeah, if they're like just cooking or something, it's fine. We're on time.
Welcome everyone to this session of how trauma controls your fight-flight response. And this is with Mark Walsh and Erika Chalkley. And to tell you a little bit about them, but I'm already sure that you know quite a lot about them. So Mark has worked in 5 war zones with street kids, the Russian LGBTQ community, with the police, aid workers, 3 militaries, and has been sober for 14 years. He was traumatized as beep, but now does okay. Erika Chalkley, a somatic coach and meditation teacher. Erika's worked with many types of trauma, including suicide, drugs, alcohol addiction, domestic violence, and ex-untouchable women in India. She focuses on helping women who are too nice to find their power. She's probably going to feel a little bit nervous teaching you all this amazing stuff. And she's already done one fabulous session. So I'm sure that she's in pro mode now.
Totally.
So thank you for all being here live. If you are in the room with us, please do turn your cameras on. It's really good for the presenters to actually have that feedback. And over to you, Mark, because I know you wanted to do the piece about safety.
Oh yeah, safety stuff. So, hello. Who's used to us? Give us a wave if you're used to our style. Lots of happy people. Hello, welcome. If you're not used to us, there may be swearing. There's probably going to be jokes. California or Portland aren't awake yet. I think we can get away with quite a lot. However, if you like to be offended, you're in the wrong place. We take what we do very seriously, but do not take ourselves seriously. Now, this is a serious topic, trauma. We're going to be looking at conflict. Like, check in with yourself. Like, take a moment. Is this really the time to listen to Mark's jokes and Erika's niceness? If not, you can watch the recording. It's 30 minutes. You can be walking. You can be in nature. You can be cuddling cats and dogs. That will win you points. But make sure you're looking after yourself. And this whole course, really, this whole week, is mostly for people who aren't like deep in active post-traumatic stress disorder or something. They might be better served by a kind of one-to-one therapist. So it's more educational. I think they're the main safety things. Did I miss anything, Erika? Because your neurotic sense of care will no doubt have noticed.
If at any point you do feel like you're freezing up or that something has triggered you, move your body, stand up, shake, have a move, have a wriggle. You know, that's what we're teaching here. So yeah, so feel free to move at any point during the session.
Great. Erika and I will be mocking each other all the way through. This is a strong British tradition and a sign of affection. So if in your country, people who love each other are nice to each other, we don't understand that. Okay. So my wife's in Ukraine is like, why is it English people, when they love someone, they pretend they hate them? And when they hate someone, they pretend they love them. I am rude to people I dislike and kind to my friends. So that's not how my wife speaks, but she is Ukrainian for comedy purposes. She will have that accent from now. So I think we can get on with it. This session is on conflict. What Eric and I are going to look at is how trauma patterns can affect conflict. Yeah. And we've put a plus and a minus by our names because we've deliberately teamed up because I love a scrap. I love a good fight. I've always done, particularly since I was traumatized. What about you, Erika? You love a fight too, right?
Oh my God, I hate a fight. I hate other people fighting around me. I'm very conflict avoidant.
Okay, so these are sort of two poles. Now, I think the first thing to say is often people hear the word trauma and they think, okay, it must be, you know, someone in a war zone or someone with abuse. Can be the case, of course. However, all of us have overwhelming events. All of us have overwhelming events at some point in our life. Yeah, I'm being asked to slow down. Thank you so much. And those overwhelming events can lead to that fight or flight response, basic conflict pattern, remember, being, we could say, stuck in the body, made a bit more chronic rather than temporary, like normal stress. That could be at a very low level the whole time. That guy who's kind of like ready for a fight the whole time, or someone who's a bit scared the whole time, yeah. Or it could be around particular triggers. Now, let's just say it. Who grew up in a household where your parents were continuously in harmony and relating, you know, in a perfect way the entire time? Could you please put your small, soft hands in the air? No, very few of you, none of you, I think, actually. So most of us experience some conflict between our parents. Now, imagine you're a young child. You don't have to remember and go to your worst memories. Just imagine sort of theoretically, really. A child can be overwhelmed by things that an adult might disguise. Two adults arguing, no big deal. But if they're your caregivers and on a gut level, you're reliant upon them for your survival, those two people having an argument might be an existential type of threat, which is the kind of thing that causes trauma, even on the outside if it didn't look that bad. Or in some of you, like my household, it might have been screaming matches, or it might have been that low-level seething under the carpet. That's very popular, Erika, in England, isn't it? That sort of low-level tension, conflict, passive-aggressive.
Yeah, absolutely. We might have also had our parents model ways of responding. So my mum is very afraid. She's very afraid. And so what I witnessed was her not being able to speak up for herself or not being able to come into conflict. And so I guess that was modeled to me as the way that women handle conflict, you know, but then I would see at home the truth of how she actually felt, you know, so that was sort of painful growing up as well. So I think there's also what they modeled with other people as well. Yeah.
Was it sort of painful or very painful, and you're being English?
Oh, you know, it was really painful.
Horribly, like a nightmare. Right. So when English people say like a bit or a little, they mean a lot. My family was the opposite. You know, dad was quite aggressive. This could be like linked to culture as well. Like Irish culture has a different way of doing it than English. I'm in Russia right now, very different approach to culture, you know, to conflict. I remember one time in Russia, I got a hotel bill for laundry for $1,000. And this is obviously, they're trying to rip me off. I took the bill and I ripped it up. I just threw it in the guy's face. And could you imagine doing that, Erika?
No, not in a million years. I could not imagine that.
Okay. And my wife was like, so proud of me, you know. And the guy went, okay, $100. I respect you. And I said, okay, deal. So it's very, you know, it's culturally some different ways of doing conflict. You wouldn't see that in Scandinavia or Canada, for example. You know, I worked all over the world, and there are differences in conflict. However, individual differences do exist. One of those is trauma. Main way we spot trauma when it's at this kind of lower level, you know, not full-blown stopping you living PTSD, a bit of overreaction or underreaction. Yeah. So Erika and I have different patterns. What do you do in conflict, Erika?
Either I freeze and flight, or I please and appease. So I am too nice.
Right. So you've got a course called, Women Who Are Too Nice. There's some gender patterns in there too, but I've got men who are in that group. And I spoke to a coach yesterday, Olga, from I think Russia, who's doing a course for women who are too nasty. So, it's not always gendered, right? Yeah, I thought I should put you two together. She's really strong. So different attitude. Okay. So we can think of all trauma patterns, not really as just like getting screwed up, but they're a type of learning. They're a type of adaptation. I did a workshop a couple of days ago here, and I asked everyone to really thank their trauma responses. So not the trauma response, the trauma pattern, because it kept a child safe. And that is a noble and beautiful, and I would say heroic thing. Yeah, and there's different ways. So Erika's kind of might have been kept safe by being avoidant or by being placating, this kind of fawn response. And I might have been kept safe by getting combative, like by getting fighty and being like, right, if there's a fight, I'm going to win it. Yeah, different response. I'm going to stop the fight before it starts. I'm looking for the fight. Yeah, you looking at me? That kind of aggression ready to go. So this learning, I'd say don't demonize your own pattern, because actually it's a work of genius. And we'll see later on in this little session, when you kind of clean up your pattern, it actually becomes genius. It becomes a superpower. But in any event, you learned something that was effective in getting you here. So where are you right now? Have a look around. Okay, you're in a room, probably. Are you in a body? Okay, great. You're still here in your body. Maybe just check. Yeah, and you're like, okay, you look like you've washed recently. You've dressed yourself. Some of you have done your hair. You're doing okay, right? So even if life isn't perfect, your trauma pattern has kind of got you at least to this point. I know without my trauma, I would have been a suicide or dead from alcoholism years ago. So does it make sense, Erika? Like this sort of gratitude for our pattern that actually helped us survive and emotionally survive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love this view, rather than like pathologizing it as something that went wrong. We all had to learn one way. There might be a few special unicorns that are really well adjusted and but I think most of us, 99% of us, had to learn a way to cope. So it's like, really, we had a choice and we made it, and it was the most intelligent choice that we could make at that time. And I just think honoring that, really deeply honoring it. Yeah,
an unconscious choice, right, Erika? So it's not little. If it doesn't, 5-year-old doesn't go, "Oh, be nice," or "I'll be great." It's an unconscious choice. Now, of course, that's great, and really honoring it. I really won't do it together now because it's not the context, but it's the kind of thing Alan does great as well. She's a big part of this course. Is like really honoring that pattern. Like Alan's amazing for this. She just sees the love in everything. Mm-hmm. Like I was talking about, but what about if people hate themselves? She's like, but that makes meaning of life, and that makes life bearable. And I was like, oh my God, even that is loving. Absolutely crazy when you start thinking about it. And this doesn't obviously mean the trauma was good or justified or we'd wish on anyone, but it can leave us with this great skill. Yeah. So I'm really good at standing up for myself and for other people. Try and bully me. I punched my own dad in the face when I was 12 years old. Okay. He's 6'2". You try and bully me. Good luck with that shit. Yeah. Erika, what are you amazing at?
Feeling what other people are experiencing. So my mirror neurons are really well honed. So I can feel someone else's experience, can bring a lot of compassion to that. I can preempt situations. I can sense very nuancedly, like when something is happening in the room and sort of intervene if necessary. I'm a very good listener, full body listening. I can make people feel very safe. Make people feel very safe. Yeah. And
I can make people feel very unsafe. It's true. I'm very protective. Children like me generally because they're like, I love you, Uncle Mark, because you'd kill anyone who'd try and hurt me. That's right, I would. Yeah. It's very different. It's a very different thing. Children love it, actually. So Erika, what's the problem with that? Like, you're being nice and being able to be sensitive, and like I just saw what you just did with me. I was telling a sad story and you kind of like tuned in and empathized. Like I saw what happened. So what's the problem with that?
Well, what are you going to say is the problem with it?
What, in terms of your patterns around conflict, surely that's a good thing to be avoiding conflict all the time. Conflict is bad, right?
Well, it means I don't stand up for myself as much as I could, or sometimes I find it very difficult, less so now, but historically, this pattern means it's very hard to vocalize what you really think, really show yourself. So whether that's voicing a preference, saying no, asking for what you want, knowing what you want, you know? Yeah. Sorry. Oh my God. I found that really hard.
You just did it really badly, and now we're going to have a fight about that, Erika. How do you feel about that? Like right now, we're going to have a scrap, me and you. I'm going to like criticize you in public. We're going to have a big fight. What do you reckon?
I reckon I could handle it, but only because of the amount of work that I've done on myself.
Okay, so it wouldn't be like your idea of a good time.
It would not be my idea of a good time at all.
I fight for fun in martial arts, okay? But equally, I quite like arguing. So to be able to, this skill of being able to do conflict has been very useful to me, because I've always stuck up for myself. I've always asked for what I wanted. I'm great at saying no. But how am I screwed up, Erika?
Well, because it's hard for me to even say it, even though I know that we've rehearsed it, which is interesting, right?
Centre, all that stuff we've been learning for the last 5 years.
Well, I would say that you can be perceived as aggressive, as a bully.
By weak people.
Huh?
By weak people.
You can leave a trail of burnt embers in your wake of people that are upset.
Yes, sometimes, occasionally people get upset with me, don't they? Yeah. And also it's kind of exhausting for me sometimes. You know, I used to love fighting on social media, for example. It used to get me in all kinds of trouble. I was a bit addicted to it.
Yeah.
So one way of looking at trauma is it sort of becomes our crack. Now, these days, I'd rather not be on social media. I've deleted most of the apps off my phone. Occasionally, I'll have a little sortie in, do some work, and then delete it and leave. You know, I've broken that addiction to that conflict, and breaking our addiction, whether it be to seeking conflict, is a bit rarer than Erika's pattern, as you can see from other people who have put pluses and minuses in their videos. There's more minuses than pluses. Yeah, some people have a bit of both going on, but for me to learn to not, as my therapist a few years ago was like, so Mark, what you did there was really great. What you just described to me happened last week. Did you notice, what did you do? You walked away instead of having a fight. I was like, oh my God, another option. Right? This is only a few years ago. I was like, is that even possible? Is it even possible? So trauma, while it gives us kind of a superpower, also limits our freedom. Because of course, life, we need different situations, different things. Sometimes you don't start a fight with the big Russian. Sometimes you walk away. Sometimes you just delete Facebook. More options, more freedom, better relationships as a result. So Erika, I've seen it in you over the years. You've gained a lot of skills, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I took up karate to work on this, like exactly that sense of like building the capacity to fight. Yeah. In some ways, I look at the healing as like learning the other response. So I've had to learn the fight response. So I took up karate. I learned to withstand disapproval, people not liking me. I learned to be able to take up my authority more fully. You know, the fact that you and I can collaborate, Mark, is testimony to that, I think.
What? You mean I don't speak over you all the time and dominate you too much? A little bit still, maybe, but not too much.
Well, and also that I can hold my own and voice to you, you know. Also, you know, yeah.
Yep, Patricia's like that too. She won't let me take up all the space. It's great. So yeah, some people switch between the two. I'm going to ask for no side chat. We may do questions at the end. So yeah, some people do flick between the two. Both can be patterns in conflict.
In some ways, I would say, I was thinking about this earlier, you've been a really great learning ground for me, because it's like you are safe to feel unsafe around, you know, like you frequently trigger my fight, flight, fawn response, but you're safe enough to work with it. And I think that is an excellent opportunity, you know.
Yes, I'm a homeopathic dose of patriarchal violence.
Exactly.
So I get this a lot from my students who are sort of more yin, we might say, more nice, that they are given that little bit of yang to work with and to be triggered by, but they're actually safe, they're not going to be abused, you know. So yeah, that's, as a coach, you will be sought out both by people who have a similar style, yeah, and also an opposite style. And there are subcultures that have a lot of conflict avoidance in them, like yoga world, for example. Yeah, the martial arts world is very different in regards to conflict, very different, yeah. And Aikido is different from karate, etc. So you will see these subworlds. We should also probably talk a little bit, Erika, about how just generally being in that mode of fight or flight means you're more likely to perceive conflict, right? Like, one of the things I've been getting in Russia a lot is just people seeing aggression where there isn't any. Like, people, like, we've probably all done this on a text message. You know, you get a text and you go, is that them being shitty, or am I misreading that? You all done that? Because there's always ambiguity, there's always mixed messages. This is life, right? It's how people are. So when people have a lot of trauma, one thing that can happen is seeing threat where there isn't any. So sometimes it's called hypervigilance. And obviously, again, that's adaptive, because if there's a little bit of threat, it might be more coming, yeah? So unfortunately, there's a vicious cycle around this. Like, you see this in guys and girls as well, actually, they're a bit aggressive in that, because they're aggressive, they get in more fights, right? And equally, and I want you to be careful how you hear this, be careful, don't get offended till you've heard me finish it. People that are in that flight mode can draw aggression because people will predate on them more often. Okay, now this isn't their fault. I'm not victim blaming. Before Angry from California writes the little letter, okay, but it is a pattern I see that, you know, I had a friend who was just really calm and centered and not in that traumatized response. And he would walk through the favela slums of Brazil like he was bulletproof. And that was partly that he knew people and relationships, but it was also that he just didn't look like a victim, and he wasn't aggressive. And I was actually working with some people who train Russian spies, and the same thing. If you're too aggressive, you get noticed, but equally, if you look like a victim, you get noticed. And there's a way in which being calm draws and resonates calmness, because we've all got those mirror neurons. So.
Yeah, and I can speak to this in the work that I do with women, which would be the same for anyone else that develops the fawn response, which is really a lack of access to power, innate power. It's like there's a body to that, right? There's a body to collapse, or sort of folding in and folding out, which, if you were to put yourself in that body shape now, and this is the body shape that women are trained to sit in, smallifying, the world becomes more threatening and frightening from this embodiment, yeah? So it becomes harder from this embodiment, which we're trained to do, and our phones don't help, which then means from this body, the world is more intimidating, it's more frightening, and I am much less empowered to act, to speak up, to move from that place. So that's, I think, often as well what other people can perceive when we're in this smallified state, that we are actually less powerful and able to defend ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, all trauma is about powerlessness, and the opposite way is puffing yourself up, right?
Yeah.
I'm not scared of anyone. Yeah, it's another way people are told to sort of stand and sit. If you look at magazine covers, men and women now, actually, you'll see a lot of that one, which isn't kind of centered, grounded, relaxed. It's not rest and digest. It's fight. It's fight mode. Yeah, Wonder Woman, have a go. You know, it's like, you know, it's fight mode. So again, that it changes how we perceive the world, changes our relationships, changes our emotional states. This is embodiment, right? This is what we do. And, you know, if you're going to address trauma, you need to address the body. You can't talk your way out of it. This is why this trauma therapy just didn't work with trauma until the body modalities came in. So it's all right saying, okay, so next time there's a conflict, I'm going to say no, and I'm going to stand up for myself, or me saying, you know what, I'm going to be empathic and I'm not going to raise my voice. And then the conflict happens, but you've got that pattern neurologically wired across your whole body, every cell, yeah? So that trauma pattern of fight or flight is there, or the numb, you know, the closed down, just try and get hit. We didn't really talk about that because it's not so much mine and Erika's pattern. I do see it a lot here in Russia, a lot of sort of toughen and just cope. And again, a genius pattern, it helps people survive. It's a hero, it saved the child. But as you get older, you need to either, we could say, clean it up or balance it out. Okay, so I had to learn a load of emotional intelligence skills, a load of kind of, I took up Aikido because it's very much the harmonious martial art, right? It's the less aggressive martial art. Erika did karate because it's a bit more
And I would have done kendo if there'd have been a class close, which is really like aggressive, attacking with swords. I had to learn the opposite, very, very opposite. Yeah.
And, to be fair, all martial arts can come from this very peaceful place, not starting fights or whatever, but a different embodiment. There's definitely a different embodiment to those 3 martial arts, for example. We give people embodied yoga poses, of course, centering, there's different tools that can help. But what I found, Erika, is you can teach people centering, but unless you do the underlying trauma work, they're just starting from that fight or flight place anyway. So why not raise that, lower that level of arousal, or, the window of tolerance David was talking about, so they're not numb. Normally it's like numb, overreaction. Mm-hmm. As opposed to feel, okay, stress, okay, do something about it, like the centering.
Yeah, and there's something about evening out both those patterns that broadens that range and that window of tolerance, and that just allows more choice, right? It's not that I want to attack people, but there's something about being able to embody that more. It like evens it out to that center ground, whereas actually having more of that in my dosage is like actually the world just appears less threatening. I'm more able to just be confident. I'm just in fight or flight much less than I would previously have been, which just opens up the options for responding creatively rather than habitually.
Yeah, it's also how we design our lifestyles. Like I'm in the middle of a really urban city right now. Normally in Brighton, I walk by the sea every day. I spend time in the woods, and there's a park near my house. I walk around and it's just calming. I design, as someone in that fight response, I design my life. This is decaf for a reason, right? Like I designed my life around that as partly, as a healthy adaptation. It's not like it's so unfair, I can't drink normal coffee. It's just a sensible adaptation, because no one's perfect. And I think what Erika and I's story shows is in time, you can get better. And it's a learning. So it's not like you go from screwed up to healed. You go from learning one thing really, really well, actually, to then either balancing that out, making it an option, not a have to. Well, I'm still a good fighter. I just don't have to fight now. Erika's a good listener still, probably a better listener now. It's not coming from a neurotic, scared place. Is that fair to say, Erika?
Yeah, absolutely. There's something that's so powerful about when we can choose our previously habitual patterns as conscious choices. We can learn. But that's kindness, right? When I talk about niceness, I'm talking about the habitual pattern. That's not choice. That's not even nice. I thought Mark was going to say earlier about it's manipulation. It's, it's something else that we're doing there. When we consciously choose it, I don't have to do this. I could do something else, but actually I'm choosing it. That's deeply, deeply kind. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So real kindness isn't manipulating people out of fear.
Yeah.
And real strength isn't aggression. If you want to know who the really strong person in the room is, they're the ones sitting down eating an apple while everybody else is freaking out. They're in the rest and digest response, just going, okay, we can handle this. And it's like, this is the person who's really strong here, not the person who's like, like a little dog that barks a lot. Do you know what I mean? The little dog barks a lot because it's scared. The big dog don't bark all the time. It's like, I'm a big dog. Lions don't have to shout about it, do they? Like, I'm a lion, I'll fucking kill anything here. It's not really a problem. I can be pretty calm. It's a different kind of strength, that kind of lion strength or big dog strength, not the little yappy dog aggression. So the beautiful thing is you can keep learning. Either the balancing skills. So me, it was, the empathy, the coming back. There's a sign in my room, I'm in this Airbnb, and it's got one of those motivational signs that says forwards and up. What I've done, not a good idea, right, Erika? I've turned it around and written back and down on the back and turned it around. So we need a different thing, right? So we can learn our patterns, we can get awareness of them, we can be kind to ourselves, right? Like this, I am not an awful person because I'm a bit aggressive. This is a survival pattern. It can be really useful at times. And then we can get from that awareness into a bit more choice, healing some of the trauma, learning to do it, not to do it better. So I think this is so compelling. Instead of saying to people, you can heal your problem, can say you can become absolutely freaking awesome at what you do that you already love and you're already good at. We just need some skills to go with it, like the self-regulation skills to add to the sensitivity. This is what a lot of the other sessions are about. Like, look for the superpowers session. There's a bunch of other sessions that relate to this one on relationships, which obviously relates to conflict, workplace stuff, ones for the coaches. The superpower stuff I really like. I think it's a step forward in the trauma world, to be honest. This work. So not just getting from bad to okay, it's getting from okay. Like, look at most of you, you're doing okay, right? But you're still a bit screwed up, right? So you can go from okay to great, to be able to have both of those skills and have choice about it. Erika, do you want the final word?
Oh, just that I love that framing. Like, I'm so sick of trauma being pathologized and made into a problem. Like, I wouldn't wish it on anyone, and yet it is possible to become even better. It's possible to use our trauma in a skillful way to then become exemplary. I just think, like you said, Mark, we're like lifting the lid on what's possible. Let's stop looking at it as something we just need to heal, and let's look at something that can really empower us to go further beyond. We're not something that needs to be fixed.
I thought of a macho saying to Erika, see what you think of this. I thought this while I was meditating today. It came to me while I was meditating. Trauma didn't break me, trauma forged me.
I like it.
Macho, I like it. Maybe it's Russia speaking through me. So look at the other stuff that's out there. Of course, if you are in the really dysfunctional, really suffering stage, of course, I was there, no judgment. You're not talking about superpowers. I just had to be able to sleep at night, right? Yeah. So I get it if you're in that stage, but for the rest of us, there's other possibilities. What's been helpful about this session? If everyone could write, the people who are here live could write down one thing that has been helpful that you can take away as a tip. Remember, after these sessions, don't make any big decisions. Do your self-care. Go for a walk, hug yourself, love yourself, do whatever you do. Move, breathe, all that good stuff. Great contrast. Who was best, me or Erika? Put it in the chat.
At what? For what?
Oh, I love a competition. Yeah, normally both. A couple of votes for you. Okay, good. All right, I think we're at time there. So we'll see you at some of the other ones. Jane, do you want to wrap this up?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mark and Erika, for that fantastic session. And do write down what your key takeaways in the chat. It's really good for us to all see. And if you can, please do share details of this week with your pals.
Okay, let me advertise this. I'm the best salesperson. So if you've got a friend who's a bit screwed up, okay, who hasn't quite realized it yet, because they're not majorly pathologically, they're just a little bit screwed up, they're a bit neurotic perfectionist or whatever, send them the session, say this is for you, okay, and they will say thank you so much for seeing through my nonsense.
And if they're too nice, send them my session. That was excellent earlier.
I think this session's been a great one to see before so many of the other sessions, all the stuff about fight and flight. So thank you everyone for coming along to this on the Zoom. Thank you for all of you on live streaming. And next coming up, we've got a question and answer session with Roger Mills. And then after that, we've got how trauma can give you coaching superpowers with Mark and Christina.
Roger's really very good. He's a long-term trauma therapist and he's very sensible and safe. So if you just want a serious therapist to ask some questions to about trauma, Roger's brilliant. And he's doing Q&A every day. Woo! We're getting naked. No, we can. Why don't we do can I just do a few minutes Q&A to say thank you to the people that are here, Jane? Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Non-recorded, right? So we're not streaming, we're not recording now, right?
Yeah, let me turn the